Ibra di testa, Tonali, gol! Sandro! Meritato! Sandro!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony Tallgrood.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back. We got Madison back as well. We'll see if he makes it the whole episode or if his internet drops again.
Yeah, dude, I was fucking pissed off. So I switched my internet because I wanted to save money. And I got higher speed for cheaper price through the same company. They didn't set up my modem, so I called, and then they set it up. Then when we recorded the podcast, my internet was going out every 15 minutes. So I called them, and they go, "Oh, we didn't finish the setup." I'm like, I fucking was on the phone with you yesterday. Why didn't you just do it all when I talked to the original person? And I don't understand it. AJ works in the internet business, so maybe he can explain it to you guys. But
yeah, it's lazy people who don't give a fuck about you.
Insider secrets.
Just being honest, that's what it is.
So
You pointed at me then.
No, I pointed at him.
No, that's Ollie.
me.
Wait, what? It's
I'm
definitely
getting
AJ on mine.
Okay, maybe you've got the
Well,
order
that's
the wrong
strange.
way.
Yeah, your
but
internet's
I'm
super
catching
fucked.
strays. What do you say fuck me
Bigger.
for? That's good. Yeah, we had a
That's a great
similar
start.
problem setting up Sky here. We moved flat, and we wanted to stay with the same provider. We got here, we set everything up. We're not getting any internet through. Rung them up. I think it was Sky, and said, "What's going on?" And they said, "Oh, we can't actually do internet. We can't provide internet to your address there." So we could have been sat there for weeks waiting for it to come through, and then we had to switch provider. So, fuck companies, fuck corporations, fuck capitalism. Here we are. I stand with the Curve Sub.
As AJ and I are both fist deep in corporate America.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
But I honestly agree. Like,
The
I haven't
inner
enjoyed my
workings.
time here, so
The inner workings of the system, it's good to know.
the fact they let you set up an account at an address they don't service and just we're all good.
We
figuring
had
it
one of
out.
those
Like,
TV and internet bundles.
Yeah.
So we set up the TV fine, but the internet just wasn't coming through. And we rang them and they were like, "Oh, yeah, I know why this isn't working." And this was days into our tenancy. But yeah, anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about some football, I suppose. Before we dive into the actual main episode itself, I've been forgetting to plug at the start of each episode our Substack that we're doing. Basically, on there, you'll find premium content, some longer form pieces of writing that Isaac's doing. He's done a really good breakdown of what our transfer budget might be if it's based on our accounts. That is well worth a read as to why the budget might be 70 million roughly. So definitely go and subscribe to that. The link is in the description. And this week, the bonus video on the Substack, we're going to be doing a bit of a deep dive on Daichi Kamada, who is expected to undergo his medical next week and join us as a free agent. So that's exciting news. We're not going to be talking about that on this main podcast. So you're going to have to go over to the Substack to hear us talk about our potential first summer signing. Or
and just to
second
throw a little
Sportailor.
extra credibility to the Substack, it's not just some bullshit we come up with. Like the rumors about the 70 mil that you've been seeing, we wrote our article about that before those came out because we got the insider info, and so the big names come to us to get their info and write their stories. So
And
also
also,
be there first.
we publish stuff in the Substack that we can't publish on the website, like straight up pieces of information that we hear, that we feel that we can put out behind that particular wall. It's free. So go and subscribe to it. But yeah, we put out pieces of information on there that we might not be able to on the main website. Let's put it that way. So go and check it out. I'm sure you'll love it. We're really happy with how things are going there, and also give us any feedback that you might have. Let's dive in then. We've got a game to recap, game to preview, the final game of the season, and then we're going to go through some listener questions. But of course, we must start with the game that took place in Turin on Sunday night at the Allianz Stadium. Juve were rocked the week that they had, maybe the 10 days that they'd had leading up to the game. They'd been booted out of the Europa League by Sevilla. They'd had 10 points deduction applied to them, so they dropped down the table out of the top four, obviously. And then they lost 4-1 to Empoli just after that. So it would be fair to say they were reeling coming into this game. It also meant that we needed just 1 point to secure Champions League qualification for a third straight season. 1 goal is all it took, and we ended up getting all 3 points.
Yeah, look, I have my iced coffee with me right now, and has nothing to do with the fact that we record in the morning. It has everything to do with the fact that we have to talk about this boring game, this snooze fest of an affair. We were the team that needed 1 point to go through, and they were the team playing like they had nothing on the line. So that tells you all you need to know about Allegri tactics and how they showed up. We weren't going to push forward because we didn't have to. We needed the point, and obviously we play a counterattacking style. So that created a very, very boring game, and anyone who watched it is fully aware of that. We don't have to spend too much time on that. But end of the day, Giroud got a headed goal. It was actually a really nice headed goal. Great
was a
crush
really
from
good goal.
Calabria as well from deep. Yeah, he got it. That was his first against Juve. I think the only big Italian side he hadn't scored against, and he got it.
That's correct.
And we've now done the double on them for the third time in 50 years, and 3 straight clean sheets against them, I believe, as well. Yeah, Juve's our bitch, man. Team sucks.
Especially after that relegation battle at in the morning, I was all hype. This was one of the most boring games against Juve I have ever seen. And when we play Juve, you expect it to be like a
Fireworks
great game, And I was just like, is this game over yet? I have shit to do. I just don't want to sit here and watch this. It was just really boring. And then Giroud out of nowhere scores a great goal, and then it goes back to just being real boring again. So
boring was good for us. That's all I'm going to say. Look, if there was one team that could get away with it being boring, look, we'd love to go in there and smack them 3-0 again like we did 2 seasons ago. That would have been fantastic. I really think we could have done if we'd have needed to be a bit more on the front foot, because Juve just looked completely listless. The vibe I got from this game was International Champions Cup. Do you know, pre-season game, but it's between two teams. It's let's not get any injuries. The season's just around the corner. It was really bad. It was not a good advert for Italian football. Let's say there's not much going on at the moment. Obviously, the English season's finished, as have most of them around Europe. Let's say as a neutral, you're tuning in and you want to get into Italian football, and you put that on thinking Juventus, Milan, showpiece fixture. There's going to be quality. There's going to be fireworks. The teams are going to be at each other. It wasn't that. It was far from it. It was really disappointing. It was perhaps not the marketable spectacle that the league hoped that it would be, especially with the build-up all about corruption and stuff,
Oh, I mean, that's another added layer that, obviously they weren't going to broadcast this team's in trouble. They weren't going to do that, but they were going to hype up the reigning MVP of the league, Rafael Leao, who just got his extension. CBS was talking about it. Obviously, that's going to get announced this week, but CBS was all over that right before the kickoff. And to be honest, I don't know if Leao ever ran in that game. I mean, he looked so disinterested, about as interested as I was. And the difference is he's paid to be there, and I was doing it out of the kindness of my heart. And
you actually paid for the privilege of watching it.
I did, because I went to a bar and I had to sit outside on a rooftop. It was sunny. It was hard to see the screen. I had 2 Peronis and some mozzarella sticks, and I spent $30. It was not worth it at all. No, you heard that right. Yeah,
3-0.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's worse than London prices.
Welcome to America, brother. Yeah, but I mean, I could have picked. Also, it was my anniversary, and I could have picked anything else to do. But we didn't. She didn't even come to watch the game. She's like, I don't want to do this. Which, in hindsight, she was a smart one.
Wait, another game missed another win.
Comments might be onto something.
Yeah.
But so anyways, I thought Krunic was pretty shitty. I thought he misplaced a lot of passes. That's all I got. That's my in-depth analysis.
The players just didn't look bothered. They looked like we had already qualified for Champions League.
Yeah.
Which I think we had.
Right. I think that's kind of the whole thing. Is
play to the energy levels of the stadium.
Oh wow!
Unless it's Inter, because their stadium level is much higher.
I think it was a strange atmosphere because obviously our away fans were protesting because it was over €80 for a ticket, and then the home fans were also protesting over the way that the club's being run, ticket prices. There were a few other things that they were protesting about. So for the first portion of the game, there was no singing. It was really eerie, and I think that's what gave me the pre-season friendly vibe. Especially with the way that the game was being played at that pace. The Juve players just didn't seem to feed off the task at hand at all. They really struggled. I think they were wary of us hitting them on the break, which we probably should have done a couple more times. The whole thing just felt like a massive anticlimax. I mean, you say that it should be a good spectacle. I said that as well. Like, these games aren't normally great between us and them at their stadium. We normally get edged by one goal, or we've drawn 1-1 there. We've lost 1-0. We've lost 2-1. Like, they're never usually 4-2s like we've had at San Siro, but this one felt particularly bad.
Well, it's only our second win at J Stadium ever, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
The other one being the 3-0 in the lockdown in the COVID season, which was massive towards securing Champions League qualification as well. So a bit of a theme developing there. Match notes, these are really brief, but I've just got no changes to the starting 11. Thought it was disappointing that Macias started.
Yeah.
Literally, I don't know why Salamakers isn't starting.
Yeah, he looked
so
much better when
I
he
came
on.
up with a reason behind that, because Badera and I were trying to figure it out. Like, why do we keep seeing this dude start? Because every substitution we make is a negative substitution. So at least if you start Macias, you get one substitution that might increase the level. Because, it's still Salamakers. He could be worse. But that's the only thing I can think of, is that it's like the only substitution that actually gives you a little bit of extra energy coming off the bench, whereas all the others, like, it's like for like getting worse. So that's the only thing I can think of. But even then, it's not a great excuse.
It's a valid point. I think there might also be I think Macias weirdly has been decisive sort of when you've least expected it.
Yeah.
And they might have highlighted a potential weakness in Juve's left side, where they thought, okay, we're going to be in behind a fair bit. And we were. He did have a couple of opportunities. And who do you want cutting in on their left to shoot? Macias or Salamakers? You'd probably still say Macias, even though this season his shooting boots haven't really been there. But yeah, it baffled me a little bit, to be honest, did that selection. But the rest of the team just kind of picks itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Leao, wasteful first half. I've got that written down. Wasn't at the races. You kind of alluded to it earlier. Wasted a couple of good opportunities where he got in isolation with Federico Gatti, who you would back. You back Leao against him every single time,
I thought Gatti was actually pretty well.
He did well. He did well. There was one moment in particular, although this was in the second half, I think, where he knocked the ball past him and was running onto it, and Gatti's facial expression was like, I am done. I am like toast out here. And he did actually lose that particular one. But apart from that, he had a couple of good slide tackles and cut out the danger pretty well. Leao has this thing where he's cutting in onto his right foot and getting a decent shooting position and just getting nowhere near the target. That was frustrating. He did that in the first half on Sunday night. Calabria cross for the goal. Really,
it was really nice. It was really nice. Yeah, that's about all I got for Calabria's game, though. Nothing. There just was no attack, so none of our defense could really showcase themselves. I will say Tomori, I thought looked pretty bright out of everyone in the defense, but even then, it was like he wasn't put in anything crazy, to defend. Like, he did it every time he needed to, but it wasn't like, wow, he just bailed us out of that one. It was just like, all right, cool. Tomori didn't mess up. He did great. So 7 out of 10 for him.
Moise Keane caused a couple of issues, but once those had come to nothing, I think we dealt with Juve's attacking threat. I say in quotation marks because there really wasn't a lot there. I think we dealt with it fairly well. It's obvious that Chiesa is still trying to find some kind of form again after such a long injury absence, and the others just weren't really at the races. They threw Milik on, and it's kind of like last chance saloon to try and force something because he's a bit bigger height wise, and they just didn't really have anything. Maignan had a quiet night, and that's good to see because I think we needed a solid defensive performance like that when the whole defensive department has been on trial for the entire season, really. And I thought Chiao looked pretty good too.
Yeah, Chiao's been in a bright spot on the team since arriving. Happy with him. Yeah,
and you mentioned Krunic before as well. A couple of times when he seemed determined to hand them a goal.
Yeah, he was trying.
Yeah, crazy. One where he turned really well. He beat like 3 men on the dribble, but then just decided to keep dribbling and turned over the ball in a horrendous position.
So the one in our box where he was double covered and had Chow wide open right next to him, and instead he tried to dribble in between them instead of just making the pass. Yeah, that one. Yeah, there's my flop for you. no secrets about that.
Let's literally do tops and flops now because I don't have anything else to add. The celebrations at the end of the game were good in front of the 200 fans who had decided to go in the away end anyway. I think it was an anticlimactic celebration as well, though, in a sense. It wasn't like wow, look at us, we've sealed it when we didn't think we would. It was just kind of the usual arms aloft in front of the fans and
we sealed it because
done.
Juve cheated, not because we earned it.
Asterisk,
You know what
season's not over yet. We could still finish over 10 points above them next week.
Yes. Yeah, we
could finish third.
Yeah, but
so it wouldn't matter anyways.
We could finish third, but if we finish third, that's different. But we've qualified so far because of their point deduction.
As Allegri was keen to point out after the game, he said some teams have only qualified because we got points deduction. Who could you be talking about, Max?
Well, here's the thing, though. What do you want Milan to do about it? Say, no, don't punish them?
No,
you
that's fine. But, we got to get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
I think well, and I think that's why the players
we qualified, great.
But also the
it's
season
great, but it's also we played like shit the past 5 months.
Yeah, I definitely won't argue with that. No, we've been horrendous, but the reality is they got that 15-point deduction early in the season. That changes how everyone plays because now you have a 15-point grace, so you could take it easy. You could rest players, and then they get it back, and now all of a sudden things change again. The mentality of how you're playing it.
I don't think Pioli was resting players because Juve got a 15-point deduction. I think he was resting players because he's a moron.
No, he's resting players because he wanted to go far in the Champions League, which, to be fair, we did. But also knowing that he has that gap of protection of 15 points there. Then when that's gone, all of a sudden, now we're in trouble. Then they get it back.
And he's still resting players when that was there. When they got
but that's what I'm saying. It changes the mentality of how all the teams around him are playing, how Roma were playing. Mourinho even said, if they didn't get that deduction in the beginning, they would have played for the league much harder or something like that. So it does change everything. And you could say them getting the 10-point deduction 30 minutes before the Empoli game absolutely affected their psyche because at the end of the day, the players didn't do anything wrong. It was the management. So, you do give a little bit of grace to the players for that because on the field, the players earned it until now. But still, you could say it affected them. It affected everyone else. And you could only go off of the season that you have in front of you. There's you can't bring in all these hypotheticals, these if, ands, and buts, because it doesn't matter at the end of the season. We're going to be in the Champions League and they won't be. And at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. So whether it's because of a point deduction, which we don't know if that's the end result or not, if we finish and we're only 9 points above them, then sure, you could say that. But even then, it doesn't matter to me. We got head to head. We beat them both legs. We're better than them this season. That much is very clear. I don't care.
Yeah, I think beating them in both games is a massive statement without conceding as well. It's do you know what? Juve have actually had a pretty good season. If they hadn't had the points taken off, then they would obviously be comfortably in the top four. It's a trophyless season for them, which by their high standards is a failure. But ultimately, considering all the background noise that was going on, they did well to even be in the hunt. They're not far off qualifying regardless of the points deduction, which I think says a lot about how strong they've been. But they've played terrible football all season. Really, really bad football. Been winning games 1-0. Monza did the double over them. Allegri has been under a massive cloud all season with quite a lot of fans wanting him out in favour of a more progressive coach. And when the chips were down and they needed to beat us, and more importantly, we only needed a point, we got the job done. So I think that's the statement ending that we probably all wanted to this.
You look at every team around us, I think, and I don't have the table up in front of me, but I think we've gotten at least one win over everyone in the top 7, except for Roma. We got the 2 draws. So it's not like we've been worse than them. It's just we've had a really bad stretch of games that had nothing to do with those teams. Well, I guess Lazio and Inter were in that stretch as well. So, they were definitely better than us in those games. But even Lazio, when we beat them, they looked like dog shit. They were worthless. So, Inter's the only team that I could confidently say was consistently better than us this season. Yeah. Outside of, obviously, we beat them, but we beat them 3-2. It's not like it was a really crazy win for us there. So, I don't know.
And we could still finish above them, remarkably. That's a real possibility.
I don't think we can anymore.
We can if they lose to Torino and we win, because they're 2 above us.
Are they 2 above us? I thought.
I believe so. I'll let you
Just
check.
checking now. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
So, and they're resting for the Champions League final, so they really could lose to Torino, you know. And then if we end up finishing above them, then it does add it's a little moral victory for us. I know that they've still, you know, won the cup and the Super Cup, and they're in the Champions League final. But it would be nice to say we finished third in the league. That would be good. Tops and flops.
Tomori top. Flop was going to be Greenwich for me.
That's funny because FootMob had Krunic as the highest rated player.
Can't trust that shit. No, they don't take into account dispossessions or things like, or they do take into account, but it doesn't affect the rating, I guess, because that's the only thing that
I was going to say Macias
did.
That's the flop. Giroud as the top because he scored.
I'll go Calabria as the top purely because he provided a golden assist and he actually looked pretty good defensively after some shaky weeks. And my flop was Leao. I think he's the big game player, man. Like, you know, if you want in that 7.5 mil or 7 mil, which he is going to get, then those are the games where I think you need to make more of the opportunities that you got. But I am judging that on like a relative scale. Macias was objectively the worst player, but you just expect a bit more from Leao, and thus you hold him to a bit of a higher standard, I guess.
Should we talk about the little controversy with Leao at the end of the game?
Yeah, we can.
I didn't even know about it till this morning. If you want to talk about it,
yeah. So as is customary at the end of every football game, players swap shirts. Sometimes it's pre-agreed who they're going to swap with and whatnot, or sometimes they just shake hands and say, "Oh, shall we exchange shirts?" So Leao took his shirt off to give to a Juve player that I think was Danilo, but I could be wrong.
I thought it was Sandro.
That's right. Yeah, I knew it was someone Portuguese speaking. And then you give the. No, that's it because you can. That's the conversation that was had. Then he gets the shirt back, and sometimes players put the other team's shirt on, which I think is a bit strange, but whatever. Other times, I guess they'll throw them over the shoulder. But Leao just chose to tuck it in his shorts, like you would say, like a towel or whatever. And some Juve fans took exception to that and said that he was putting the shirt near his genitalia, essentially, and called it disrespectful. Said that he was trying to provoke controversy, stuff like that. Leao has since been forced to put out a social media post where he basically denied that he was trying to be disrespectful and apologising to the fans. He said, word for word, "If any fan felt disrespected for me putting my shirt inside my shorts, I apologise. It was not my intention to convey any disrespect. On the contrary, I respect all institutions." I presume that means clubs. Forza Milan, the hate is real, damn. Like it was so professionally worded, and then he added that the hate is real.
And I noticed that the hate is real damn part was in English, whereas the rest was in either Italian or Portuguese, whatever.
I feel like that's Way 45's next single title.
Yeah, the hate is real damn.
Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, it's really
stupid.
stupid. I mean, you see that everywhere. The jerseys and shorts. Like I've seen that for decades.
I mean,
they're
not gonna. I highly doubt their shorts have pockets.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And they're not going to put their shirt on because that will cause controversy with your own fans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where else are you going to?
And that's the thing too, because they're showing this picture of Alessandro Del Piero wearing a Milan jersey after the game, you know, doing the thing. But like, I'm pretty sure they were mad at him for doing that at the time, anyways. You know, and also you're covered in fucking sweat. These jerseys are skin tight. You're not going to put on another man's sweaty ass jersey when it's skin tight. Like that's gross. No one wants to do that. It's dumb. And then there's a picture of Dybala from this season with the Juve jersey in between his ass cheeks. If anything, that's more offensive. Yeah, but like we all know because we're all normal humans. It's just you put it in there like a sweat towel.
Yeah, he stuffed it in his shorts. I thought he draped it over, and it was like hanging out.
No,
that's like a little like I don't know why he put it in his shorts like that. I wouldn't see it as disrespectful, but I'd be like, that's a sweaty shirt right next to my sweaty junk. Like that's just kind of gross.
Right. Yeah, there is definitely personal hygiene questions to be had there, but fair enough for rattling another fan base.
At the end of the day, it's just a crybaby fan base crying about something else because they lost again. So
correct. Let's move on then, shall we? Final game of the season. The most important news heading into this one, without a doubt, above all else, is that we might be wearing our new home shirt for next season in this game, which is being launched on Thursday, June the 1st. We're recording this on Tuesday. And it looks strange.
You know what? I didn't like any of the leaked pictures. Obviously, our boy Fabio from Long Island, if you follow him, he's with Milan Weekly's Coast to Coast podcast. They were selling it in New York at the Puma store. When he was there. I don't know if it was intentional to sell it or an accident, but he bought it. He has it, and he's posted pictures, and it actually looks nice in person. You know, the black is a lot darker, so it doesn't look like that weird thing that we've been seeing in the leaked photos. So I think it looks better in person, and I'm sure when we watch the game, it'll look fine. But initial reactions, don't really care for it.
Same.
So
I don't like Puma.
Yeah, dude, they've put out one good
like,
kit. You know,
it's like, yo, give me some fucking red and black stripes.
That's all I need.
Like the last Adidas kit that we had is one of my favorite kits I have because it's just a very classic kit.
Yeah, agreed.
Call me old fashioned, but give me a classic kit.
Well, and Puma put out one they put out one. I think it was like their second home jersey with us. It was a very thin red and black stripes, but it was everywhere. There was no like multiple shades of black like this season's home. There was no multiple shades of red or any of that weird shit that they've been doing. Like that one was fine.
That was a good one. And also it was a throwback to 2011-12. So there's like there's a siren outside that might have been picked up. I don't know.
It was.
Yeah,
it most definitely was.
2011-12 season, which like a lot of people remember fondly. So at least there was something to go off there. But then the last seasons had too much red, in my opinion. Like it was a barcode type design. Like the stripes weren't even; they were alternating thickness. And then this season's has too much black. Like an all black back to it looks shocking.
I will say, watching the Juve game with our players in our home shirt and them and theirs, it was difficult to tell the difference. To be honest with you, and it shouldn't be like that. It should be totally different. Yeah,
that was annoying. That was and their shirt for next season is awful, by the way.
I kind of like it, to be honest.
Oh yeah, but it's weird. It would be fine if it was consistent striping, but instead they've got like that thing at the back and then weird yellow coming down the sides. I'm not a big fan of it. Like I think that you can't really go wrong with Juve, Milan, and Inter kits. You just simplicity is key.
And yet none of them have been right in the last few years.
All over the place. And then next season's is going to have too much red on it again if the leaks are right. It looks more like a Bournemouth shirt. Although what they're trying to market it on is that the stripes and then the sort of downward pointing arrow type thing is meant to resemble an M. So it's like M's going up the shirt, but I don't see it. I think just stop fucking about with designs.
Yeah. It just looks like chevrons.
Yeah,
That's all it is. Yeah.
So going into this, the headlines are more about Verona than they are us. We've booked our top 4 spot. Would be nice to finish third, obviously, and finish above Inter. Would be nice to finish above Juve by 10 points, of course. But it's Verona who are currently in the bottom 3. They have 31 points from 37 games, and they have not got the head-to-head with Spezia, who are on level points, 1 place above them, just outside the bottom 3. So their mission is to win and hope that Spezia don't win. They're playing us. Spezia are away at Roma. So both teams in games where they would be expected to lose. Verona, strange season for them, to be honest. They had Gabriele Cioffi in charge, and then they had Bocchetti for a couple of months, and then it's been Marco Zaffaroni. Chaotic season. They've been in the bottom 3 basically since round 8 onwards. They crept out a little bit, but they've just been awful. They won one of their first 15 games. They've had a 6-0 loss to Inter in there. They're the only team to concede 3 to Sampdoria. Lost 3-0 to Fiorentina. They had a run of 10 straight defeats earlier in the season in the league. Then they've not been good. I think they deserve to go down, personally.
They 100% do, but hear me out. I want them to stay up, which means we would have to drop points here. Look, we've already secured top 4. I don't give a fuck about the finishing 10 points above Juve, finishing third. It doesn't make a difference to me. What I do look at, though, is Hellas Verona is a free 6 points every season for us. We haven't lost to them since 2017, whereas Spezia, the team they're fighting for survival against, has fucked me off so many times.
Yep.
I hate them with a passion. I would much rather us throw this game so Spezia go down. obviously you don't want to do that. Final game of the season, home game, new shirt, blah blah blah. But
New shirt.
yeah. Personally, I hate Spezia and Verona. They're a shitty team that I know we're going to get 6 points from, so I would like them to stay up. But
I feel like we always get 6 points, but it's never an easy 6 points.
But it's 6 points.
That's true. Also, if we drop points to them on Sunday, it won't be 6 points this season, I suppose. But
Wait.
yeah, no.
I get what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah, no, but normally, yes. Normally, we're fine. Well, it said Verona as well. There's a bit of history with them. We've twice lost to them. That's in a Scudetto race, and it's cost us the title basically. Fatale Verona. For those who don't know, it's worth googling. So I wouldn't mind relegating them just to exact a bit of revenge, but also to lose Verona and Sampdoria in the same season would be kind of crazy because those are two teams that have been in the league for a long time, and they're two of the established big clubs in Serie A. I don't think it does much for the league's image, to be honest, especially if Spezia stay up at their expense. But, you've got to earn it. So Verona are going to have to come at us. That probably favours us in terms of getting a result. What kind of a team would you play for this? I personally would rotate quite a bit.
Why?
Oh, what's the point? We've achieved everything. There is basically nothing on the line for us in this game. If you're not able to use a game like this to get a look at Adley from the start, to get a look at Decatur Lara, the most important thing for us now is the summer transfer window, not the next game. Mm-hmm. So you've got 90 minutes here where you can make your assessments on some players. Start Origi, if he answers back with a hat-trick, it's not happening, but,
I guess it's good to put some players in the shop window that you want to get rid of. Players that are leaving could get their farewell or whatever, but I don't know. I also wouldn't mind going out on a high. I know I just said I obviously want Verona to stay up, but you always want to bookend your season with wins. You want to start the season off right. You want to finish it strong. I don't know. I would still start the same 11. That's probably what Pioli's going to do. After we just bitched at him for 3 months over heavy rotation, he's probably going to just stick to what he's got.
That'll be on brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also need to get some good photos in the Getty image library of the players in the new shirt.
That's true.
That is important ahead of
You mean CDK and Bronx aren't good images to have?
Well,
Bronx probably not.
I don't know.
Yeah, right?
Could become a collector's item, that. Could be the last shirt that he ever wears.
That's what I got for Suarez. I got the home shirt of the season after he left, but I think he wore it in the final home game of that season. So after he left Liverpool. I know I have a Liverpool shirt, sorry. It was a gift. I didn't buy it.
That's gross.
Yeah, that's vile.
Burn
Darko
My
Lazovic.
dead brother bought it for me, so you want to feel like
thank you for watching.
You had to say that?
We'll catch you in a week.
No, that's really true. That's who bought it for me. But anyways, yeah, moving on.
Yeah, let's. Darko Lazovic has been Verona's best player this season. He has 4 goals, 4 assists, and that says a lot, really. Simone Verde is the top scorer. He has 5 goals. Josh Deutsch has been pretty good for them as well, but they're a sorry outfit. They really have struggled to score goals this season. So let's do a prediction. I reckon we win. I think we win 2-0.
Yeah, I think it'll be 3-0. I think the team will just be like, yeah, final game of the season. This shit's over. Let's go out happy.
3-0? I'm going to go 2-0. I don't know if we have 3 goals in us. Last game of the season, we already qualified. We're going to look like Juve versus Empoli.
Is Giroud our top goal scorer now after the Juve game, or is it Leao?
No, it's Giroud, yeah. Now, yeah.
Yeah, maybe Leao wants to take that back.
Yes, hopefully. What else was I going to say? Ante Rebic was left out of the Juve game, not because of an injury, but because of his effort levels in training. I think... Oh, another thing about Verona, while we're on the subject of players who might potentially have a swan song appearance at San Siro, Zlatan is not expected to be back. So we have probably already seen his last game in a Milan
That's
shirt.
a shame. Was that the penalty that he scored and then lost? the game?
Yeah, he was getting ready to come on against Lecce, wasn't he? And then did his calf, and I don't think they're going to risk it. That's a real shame if that's the way that he goes out. It will be a Van Basten type coming on in his jacket, clapping the crowd, having not kicked a ball for the last few weeks, which would be a shame if that's the way it were to end. But I think in many ways it's emblematic of a lot of things, including our decision to keep him.
Yeah, there's very few players that could consistently play into their 40s. Zlatan already beat the odds by making it as far as he did and doing what he did last season. And since he returned, really, I mean, when he went to MLS, everyone said his career was done. Before that, when he did his knee at United at 36, everyone's like, he's 36, he's too old. He'll never play again, you know? And he put on another 5 years, another championship. He scored like 50 goals in LA in like 52 games. I mean, say what you will about MLS, like that's impressive. You know, he's had a storied career, and anything he does after is just a bonus. I have no problem with it. Like, obviously, I do have a problem with it. I don't want him to be injured and retire, but look, he should have retired at the end of last season. Go out as the highest of highs. That's something that, like, respect to Spalletti for leaving Napoli after a title, because you're never going to top that, especially for a team like that. Like, you know, it makes sense to go out.
Also,
on top.
he's listened to himself as Spalletti. Like, by all accounts, he's exhausted and needs a year off. He's not going to take another job. He's actually having a year off. And Zlatan maybe should have listened to his body some time ago. But respect the warrior within him, thinking that he can still give something to this group. He's given everything to football, and football's given him nearly everything back. I'm just sad that he won't get his riding off into the sunset moment that he should have had at the end of last season. Let's move on. Do a couple of talking points. As mentioned, Kamada stuff's going to be on the Substack, so go check that out. First thing, there's a lot of sources now reporting that Lois Openda is our number one striker target. Any thoughts? He's got 20 goals in Liga this season, which is pretty good. It's up there with Folarin Balogun. He's 22 years old, Belgium international, so he'd be another Belgian. From the bits that I've seen from him, he looks really quick. He's got a good shot on him, but he's more of a poacher than a link-up player. The fee would be around about 30-35 mil.
I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I really watched League One that much.
Yeah.
I know he's Bader's number one guy on top of his transfer list, which for anyone who doesn't understand how obsessed Bader is with the sport, he literally has a spreadsheet of all strikers that he wants Milan to get, handwritten, and it's like a long list.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
It actually is. Yeah, it's a little worrying, a bit autismo, if I might say, but he's got a list, and Openda's on the top of it. So
yeah, not alphabetically either. Like, he did it by preference. He did tier 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. One of the other guys that me and him are both big on is Nicholas Jackson at Villarreal, and we've actually been linked with him. Apparently, I had a conversation with his agent, and he's got a release clause, but Real Madrid are also in for him, so might be fucked there. I feel like a lot of these targets for the striker role are all sort of similar. You know, like Openda's been linked, obviously. Balogun has been linked. We've also been linked with a couple more players from Liga. There's no name that I'm like, that's the guy. It has to be him. You know, they're all just kind of like 30 mil rated players who've scored double digits in France.
Yeah.
And
it's because we don't have like a playing style. And if we're like, this person would fit in like a glove, you know,
that's actually a good point.
It's like, all right, let's get this person, see if he fits with Liao. And, you know, I think we need a striker who's going to be able to create his own chances. Not like a classic number 9.
Which Giroud is. You know,
right.
I think we've spent the last 2 seasons watching Giroud start as our number 9, and we've been incredibly frustrated for most of it. Not necessarily because he's not trying. It's definitely nothing like that. It's just, I think our playing style has suffered as the result of not having a mobile number 9. And now we're getting linked with all these mobile number 9s who are fast, who can supposedly create for themselves. And we just have no idea which one we want. It's not like we can look at a prototype of player that we've had and say we need exactly that again. You might think Scamacca might be the easiest transition, given that he's also a big man, but he's a bit more mobile. So no, I'm not sure. Nicholas Jackson is the one that jumps out to me, and I just want to put that on the record. The other thing that I wanted to talk about from a transfer point of view is that Stefan El Shaarawy has been linked with a comeback.
I would be so happy.
if you guys watched the bonus pod last week, Madison's very big on El Shaarawy. The first 2 Milan jerseys I ever bought were El Shaarawy, so I'm like, I don't know, the romance there is gone for me. But I would welcome his return. Obviously, he's a better backup than Rebic. He's still starting caliber for Roma. He's better than both our right wingers. Not that he'd play on the right, but like you rank all of our wingers, and he'd be a clear number 2 out of all of them. So, he's welcome to return. I think that'd be cool. Close that chapter.
He's got 9 goals in 40 appearances this season, which
14?
isn't bad. 40.
Oh, wow.
Which is actually a goal every 232 minutes because most of his appearances have come off the bench. That's not bad at all. And you need quality depth if we're to be able to compete on 2 fronts, let alone 4, as Pioli said in his post-match interview. And I think he would be that. He's 30. He has had some injury problems that is worth mentioning, but it would be a free transfer. And I think he would jump at the chance to return. Stay in Italy, but go back to a place where there's a bit of a romantic understory to it.
I'm just really happy that we're finally taking free transfers seriously. It's something that all the other clubs around us have done successfully, and it's something that we've needed to jump on for years now because of our low budget, and now it's
something that we've been taking advantage of.
Yeah,
from, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Do you know who else likes the idea of us taking advantage of free transfers? Rafael Leao. He liked to tweet where 4 of the free transfer targets were mentioned. One of them was Marcus Thuram as well, who I think would fix a lot of problems too. The free agent market. I think the way that football's going, you see more and more players leave for free. Like Asensio leaving Real Madrid on a free after 9 years. If he has no loyalty to them, if that is where he's going, then it shows how crazy the free agent market is going to be. And it's about time we were the benefactors rather than the ones left moaning because we've lost another player. Let's do some questions then. So because we're a day late, I put the questions post out on YouTube as well to get some in from the YouTube community. And I made a bit of a list. Mohamed Jawad Mohsin, hope I have pronounced that right. He asks, should we keep De Ketelaere for next season or send him to a different club?
I think you keep him. With the amount we spend, I think you got to give him at least another season. Everyone talks about this second season syndrome. Obviously, it's hugely different from Leao and Tonali and CDK, how their first seasons and second seasons went. But you made the investment. You gotta ride it out at least another year. If it doesn't work again, then you either sell him or loan him out long term.
Same. Agreed.
I would keep him. I don't think you consider a loan because it would be sort of admitting failure to an extent. If you do consider a loan, it's got to be in Serie A. Otherwise, what's the point? Like the idea of loaning him back to Club Bruges, which came up, what would we achieve with that, really?
Yeah.
Go back to his comfort zone and what? If someone comes along and offers 30 million plus, you should take it, though.
That I agree with. But no one's going to. Not after the season you just had.
Especially after Leeds got relegated. Because if anyone would have done it, it would have been them.
Yeah. There's been rumours about Atalanta being interested and him being included in a deal for Højlund. Maybe you would explore that because Højlund's obviously an incredible talent, but I don't see it as feasible. So I think you keep him unless the conditions present themselves where you're like, oh yeah, sorry, Charles, but you got to go. NSM asks, are we feeling the knock-on effects of Maldini and Massara letting 4 players walk for free?
Yeah, of course.
Donnarumma, Kessie, Çalhanoğlu, Romagnoli.
Yeah, I think Donnarumma obviously got replaced well, but the big issue is the lack of money. If we had sold all those players, you're looking at 150, 160, and that alone for our budget book would change what our wage, or I'm sorry, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes,
what our transfer fees amount would be for the next few seasons. So yeah, we're definitely feeling that, but I don't think we're in like a tight spot. Like obviously with the Champions League, we made enough that we are good for next summer, and 70 is fine, I think, compared to what we've spent lately. It comes down to how we spend it, and if we spend it well, then it's not an issue, you know. Yeah. But we do need to eventually start selling players for fees because we can't keep losing them for free.
Yeah, agreed. Gazetta did a bit of an article on this today, and the headline to it was, "What would Milan's summer window look like with 180 million to spend?" And basically, the concept of it was that there's 50 million available in actual budget, and then the 4 players that left for free are worth market value combined 130 million at the moment, according to Transfermarkt. So the money that we should have got for their departures that we've missed out on means that the squad obviously gets weaker and we've got less wiggle room to make it stronger. I understand that stance, but there was a principle to every single one of the renewals too. Donnarumma, we got pissed off with waiting and with the games of his agent, Mino Raiola, who's now dead. And we signed Mike Maignan as his replacement, and we got him for 13 mil, and we think, well, we've not got much worse off there. Whereas we'd have been paying Donnarumma like 8-9 million a season as a goalkeeper. Kessie wanted 6.5 mil net, and we were like, don't know about that. Like, that would absolutely bust open our wage cap that we'd implemented and have now obviously removed with Leao's renewal. And then Hakan's departure to Inter was celebrated. You know, we were like, he's crap, enjoy him. And I don't know, maybe it hasn't quite worked out that way. But
yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. Like, Romagnoli had a good season with Lazio. I think we all agree he would have been a great third choice to keep as outgoing captain. Like, but I feel like that's the only way to change the captaincy without stripping someone and causing drama is like they left the club, you know. And at the end of a free transfer too, it's not like he was saying I need out, you know. So from
Boyhood
that point of
team
view,
as well.
it actually makes sense. But Romagnoli as a player, Madison and I both said it last week on the bonus. Like he should have stayed. We would have loved to keep him. Obviously, Chao's done well enough to where that's not the end of the world, but it was an issue for a while. Our defense was letting in a lot of goals. Hakan, he's objectively done much better at Inter than he has at Milan. And, you know, when he left, he said it helps when you have good teammates or some bullshit. It was a swipe at us.
Yeah.
For his play style, maybe that was right. Maybe the players that he's with now are better for how he operates. I mean, we've seen a resurgence with him, and it wasn't working out with us. It sucks that it is with Inter. He's a great villain for us, so it is what it is. But the Donnarumma one, you should have got money from. We saw this coming from the Mirabelli renewal, you know, when we signed his brother. Like that, he probably should have been gone then. But you look at Mike. Mike's a better keeper, cheaper salary. We're talking about a renewal that's still less than what Gigio wanted. I mean, that's a win. Obviously, losing money, huge, but still a win as far as the replacement goes. Kessie's a loss. We lost on Kessie deal. That one should have been done. He said it was going to be done. Went to AFCON. It wasn't done. It just got worse and worse. And now he went to Barcelona. He won another league title. We never replaced him. We struggled because of that.
Yeah.
Benacer's injured probably because we didn't have a valuable third center mid. So we took the L on Kessie, and it's okay to admit that. I don't know. That one sucks. That one hurts. I wish we kept him.
And I don't fully apportion blame to the club on that because, as you said, Kessie said that he would renew, and that was the summer before his contract ran out. While he was away at the Olympics, he was like, "Don't worry, I'll come back. They can have me for as long as they want me." What can you do when the player's saying that? You know, it's backstabbing, really. And yeah, I agree with you on all the other. Well, yeah, we should have said, okay, you've got to sign before the end of the window, and you got to fuck off. Anyway, Noah Ahmed asks, well, he says, I think Teo Hernandez would be great as a winger. He could become like the new Gareth Bale. What do you think?
That was a hypothesis we came up with a while ago when we signed him, but I wouldn't replace Leao with Teo, not unless we did like a 3-5-2 and Leao was sold off and we got 2-star strikers. That's the only way I could see that happening. But even then, we need someone defensively. You saw Leao get subbed off against Juventus for Ballatore, and Ballatore actually did a decent job as a winger, and he did defensive work as well. So I understand the idea, and I do think it would work out. I just don't know if it's a necessary change. I think that's too big of a shift.
Like, Teo's done so much work on his defensive phase over the last year to then turn around and be like, oh, you don't need to do that anymore. That'd just be fucking stupid. He's the best left back in the world. Don't change his position, I think. He's probably the message. I understand the Bale comparison, but the reason Bale is the only name that people come up with is because it's the only case where it's worked out.
It
And
worked with
also-
Florenzi until his injuries.
Not on that level, though. Like,
No.
Florenzi was never a contributor of double-digit goals per season. Yeah, I'm okay with Teo where he is, especially given the relationship he has with Leao as well. I don't think you want to disrupt that chemistry. Lab Gorilla asks, of the following, which do you think will leave this summer? I'm going to read them all out because I think we might have the same answer on this. Origi, Macias, Brahim, Bakayoko, Dest, Florenzi, Ibra, Franks.
And I can only pick 4?
No, just who will leave out of that list?
Oh, all of them.
All of them.
I agree. All of them. And that's why
The only way Origi stays is if we just don't get an offer, which is very likely, to be honest. But
Oh God, I hope he's not here next year. But also, I mean, like, he could have that second season push. We never know.
we did
Also-
sign him injured, and he got injured again after arriving. So maybe he's just still recovering.
Had a couple of dribbles in the recent games where he's come on, where he's actually looked good. He's used a bit of pace
He
and
dribbled
power.
the ball a couple of times. Wow.
Yeah, quite literally, but that's better than Rebic. Anything Rebic has offered this season. The only one that I suppose is worth discussing is Brahim, because we'd say, no, let's upgrade on that. But it sounds like we're trying to sign him. So then it's like, okay, if they really want him, what constitutes a good deal? Is he going to be signed for the right wing and we're going to sell Macias? Can we get him for like 15, 20, or are Real Madrid going to drive a hard bargain? I personally would like to see us say, no, fuck your inconsistency. You've had 3 years to show it now. Sorry, but we're going to invest that money elsewhere. What I worry is that we're just going to buy him. I really worry that he's going to sign.
And it sounds like they want more money. Obviously, with Asensio leaving, Brahim makes sense for them to keep, so they're going to ask for more. And if we're willing to pay that for a guy who, like you said, has been inconsistent for 3 years, it's not a good sign. Not when we could replace him with Asensio, you know? Like, Asensio is the better player. We should be grabbing that guy who wants to start, who likes playing behind the striker and can play on the wing. That makes sense. That's a perfect target for us, but it's not going to happen. So I hope we don't keep Brahim. And I have nothing against Brahim. I like him. I just don't think it's the right fit, not for the money that they're going to want after 3 years. I mean,
And not for 3-4 games a season where he actually shows up.
yeah.
Fatah Bedier, again, might have butchered pronunciation, but he asks, can we shop at Chelsea this summer given they are getting rid of many players? And what players would you like from them? ESPN said that we're in for Pulisic. Thought you might like to know that. That came out a couple of hours ago. But Juve are the team that are leading the race to sign him.
Well, I was in Hershey, his hometown, yesterday. Had a meeting with his pops, and I'm trying to work that deal for everyone. No, I'm kidding. But I was there,
my
actually.
God.
I went to Hersheyland, but
The look on Oliver's face was like, "You did what?"
Got an exclusive or
no.
On the
but I
Substack.
did tweet that just because of the location I was in. But
Yeah.
I would love him, obviously. I think he fits in our team.
As long as he can stay healthy.
Yeah. But you look at his numbers off the bench for Chelsea, he's better than most of the players that have been starting for them.
I
His
know.
goals per minute is like one of the best on their squad. I don't know why he's only getting 8 starts a season there. It's weird. It's this American hate that he's all too familiar with as a British man. I'm sure a bunch of European listeners are agreeing with it because he's an American. But
I just
he's
wanted
one of the best wingers.
to mention that he's made 30 appearances for Chelsea this season and has scored 1 goal.
Well, 22 of those are off the bench for less than 15 minutes.
El Shaarawy better. Facts. Also,
Look at his
earns-
minutes. He's played less than 6,000 minutes this season.
It's a really bad goals per minutes ratio.
Yeah, he had a
One-
bad season this year. He played under 4 different managers.
Yeah, I suppose
6 if you
nobody at
count
Chelsea's
interims.
had a great season, but there is one other factor here. He earns 15 million a season at Chelsea.
Wow.
He's not getting that anywhere else, though. He knows that. He's
not
leaving.
even getting a third of that with us. Like, it requires such a monumental pay cut. And also there's a transfer fee involved because he's still under contract.
Well,
Apparently they'd accept 25 mil, but I'm not paying 25.
I would.
What about Brendan
Easily.
Aronson?
I'd rather play a
He's got a
25
release
mil.
clause now that they got
He does.
relegated. I
Who's
don't
that?
remember what it
Brendan
is.
Aronson?
Yeah, from
For
Leeds.
Leeds.
Don't want
I would rather
another-
Tyler Adams over Brendan Aronson, to be honest. If we're
Same.
doing
Or
that.
Nonta. The thing with
Tyler Adams gets injured and he gets injured for long periods of time.
the thing with Aronson as well is he's literally the Brahim Diaz mold, like small, skinny, would get pushed off the ball quite easily.
Except he hustles and he's an American. He's not some Spanish
Non-EU slot taken.
No. I want to hear what Madison goes with this. What's wrong with being Spanish?
Nothing.
We've just alienated a portion of our listener base.
That's okay.
Not us. Madison did.
I would love Hervin Lozano this summer.
Why
Gregory Peck.
not?
Just casting the line. Gregory Peck. If you were Maldini and Massara, would you do a Bayern Munich and get rid of Pioli to go for a new manager / project? Nagelsmann, Gallardo, Luis Enrique are free. Sarri, Italiano could be tempted.
Yeah, I absolutely would. It wouldn't be Enrique. Enrique today said that he was offered it, or either De Laurentiis said this, that Enrique told him, but basically Napoli offered it to him, and he said, I love the food in Italy, but I'd rather work in the Premier League. So I think he's going to Spurs.
He is going to Spurs by the sounds of it, which is really interesting.
Yeah. I think that's a great pickup for them. But yes, I would replace Pioli still. I mean, Bayern won the league and sacked their CEO and sporting director before the celebrations. That's how serious of a club they are. But yeah, we're not going to do it. We're going to keep him. We got top 4. We got him in the semifinal. Like, they're going to come up with all the little justifications and not read the asterisks next to any of them. And Pioli's going to stay. So
then he's going to lose his first 5 games next season and then get fired.
Wow. Bold.
Hope not. I mean,
that'll be
hope not losing 5 games.
That feels in relegation zone then. There is some advantages to having like continuity going into next season, though. If you consider that Napoli are going to lose head coach, sporting director, probably Osimhen, Inter are going to have to sell players because that's their financial situation, and surely they can't do as well as they have this season. Juve are obviously in corporate chaos. Gasperini has said he might leave Atalanta, so that could see them going for a new era. Mourinho could leave for PSG. Lazio, you never know what's happening with Sarri, but they're likely to lose Milinkovic-Savic, and they never spend to replace the players. We could have the most stable thing going into next season, and that could be an advantage for us as long as we spend the money well.
That's it. If we have the depth for 2 competitions, then Pioli could probably get a job done with the starters and rotating correctly, not the way he did this season. But that's a big if. There's a lot of variables there. Like you said, all these things, if they line up correctly, then Pioli could go on to do something great. But I highly doubt that everything goes exactly the way it needs to go for that to happen.
Yeah. And then will top 4 be another successful? Like we said, 3 years in a row, we've qualified for the top 4. That was our only target, and we exceeded our target in the Champions League. What are the targets for next season? Surely it's not just top 4 again. Surely we need a trophy, maybe 2.
Yeah.
We can't keep with this top 4's enough. Like, that's not going to wash at a club like this. Speaking of Milinkovic-Savic, and Crypto Cam asked a question. I think all Milan fans are on the same page. Do not hesitate if SMS is available for 30-35 mil by him. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would splash 40 if they requested it. I think that's the best center mid in Serie A right now. You grab him ASAP. No questions asked. We need Benacer's going to be out till February. He comes back in January and goes straight to AFCON.
No. Oh, my God. I thought AFCON got moved to the summer.
If it did, that's news to me.
I'll have to look at that, but he's meant to be out until December. So, yeah, then if he was away, then that's it. We mentioned this in the chat. Like, there are there's not many windows of opportunity that appear where you can sign a player who knows your league, is the perfect age to contribute straight away, contributes with goals and assists, and is available and would come in and instantly raise the entire level of your team.
Yeah.
He is that. Like, he wants to stay in Italy as well. So get it done, man. Like, see if we can be that team. Like, all this, we're going to have positive accounts for this year. We're on a financial resurgence. What is the point of all that if that doesn't mean that we can't spend that bit extra to go and get the player that nobody else in the league can?
Yep. And you know who will go for him? Inter.
Juve as well.
Yeah, Juve too. But the other 2 big clubs in Italy that seem to recognize that big players mean big results, they'll go for him. And we'll be sitting here, twiddling our thumbs in the depths of France or Belgium trying to find the next great thing and hope for the best with blindfolding on. And it's stupid. We need to be going for these players. That's the only way we're going to succeed. We got to start getting some names in here.
There's some options for midfield as well, like Tielemans available on a free, Loftus-Cheek might be available on this. Like, there's no excuse for fucking up. It's not as if there's no targets available.
And I will say we've been linked with all the right players for the most part.
Seko Fofana would be great if we didn't get Milinkovic-Savic. Really similar profile. Jordan wants to ask a question, so I'm going to put it forward to you. If you had to sign one player from your club, and in this case, AJ, your club is DC United.
What?
For Milan, who would it be? And Everton for you, Maddie.
Lewis O'Brien.
Yes, well said. Set up perfectly. He's actually good, isn't he?
Yeah. No, he's been man of the match like 3 times in a row.
So. Told you.
Probably Decore.
Oh, really?
That's good.
He scores some stunners, man.
That was a great goal to keep you up.
And he's like a workhorse. Like, dude just does not stop.
For the record, though, my club is Milan and only Milan.
Yeah.
DC's just my local team.
I mean, who have you got a soft spot for? Maybe Spurs? A little bit? No? Not bothered?
I mean, I do, but not with this team right now. I guess Human Son, Harry Kane.
Yeah, any of them.
Not many other options.
Kulusevski, really.
He might actually be a realistic option.
For Huddersfield, there's really only one candidate. We've got a centre-back who was player of the season, Poland international, called Mikhail Helik. He's really good. He would be a good third-choice centre-back. Like, genuinely could step up to the level absolutely fine. Would be a good Kier replacement. That's it. We're not a great team, apart from that. Yeah, that's it. On an hour. We'll round it off there. Thank you to everybody for listening this week. Drop us a like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Give us a rating on your favourite podcast platform. That would really help us out. Appreciate all the support, all the comments that we get and all the questions. Great to have community all engaged, and we've got Champions League football to look forward to, obviously, which improves the positivity in the entire fan base. Check out the Substack. As I said, we're doing deep dive on Kamada, so hopefully you all enjoy that. I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. AJ, cheers for joining.
Yep, Turtle 45. Glad to be here. See you guys next week.
See you guys next week.
Catch you in a week's time.
Eccolo Ante in area di rigore, Ante, Ibra, gol! Vediamo se è buono, ce lo dà buono, ce lo dà buono, ce lo dà buono!